Commander Raven Sterling's vision blurred as her damaged fighter craft spiraled through the darkness of space. The battle against the Syndicate pirates had been brutal, her squadron decimated, her ship's core leaking radiation. Her last conscious action was triggering the emergency beacon before the crushing darkness claimed her. She awoke to the gentle hum of advanced medical equipment and the soft purple glow of bioluminescent panels. The air carried an unfamiliar sweetness that made her head swim. As her eyes adjusted, she realized she wasn't in any Earth Alliance medical facility she'd ever seen. The human's neural patterns indicate consciousness, a melodious voice announced. Remarkable resilience, considering the extent of radiation damage. Raven tried to turn her head toward the voice but found herself immobilized by some kind of energy field. Through her peripheral vision, she caught glimpses of tall, graceful figures moving around her bed. Their skin seemed to shimmer with patterns of bioluminescence that pulsed in harmony with the room's lighting. "I am Healer Nixis," the voice continued, "closer now." A face appeared above Raven, striking features framed by tendrils that moved like living silk, their color shifting between deep indigo and starlight silver. "You are aboard the Celestial Mercy, our medical sanctuary station. Your ship's emergency beacon brought you to us." Raven tried to speak, but only managed a weak cough. Her throat felt like she'd swallowed plasma fire. "Please do not attempt verbal communication yet," Nixis said, placing a hand on Raven's forehead. The touch sent waves of soothing coolness through her burning body. "Your exposure to radiation would have been fatal without our intervention. We've begun preliminary treatment, but your cellular damage is extensive." Through the haze of pain, Raven noticed Nixis's hand wasn't quite solid. It seemed to shift between physical form and pure energy, each pulse bringing more relief from the fire in her veins. "I must be direct," Nixis continued, her iridescent eyes holding Raven's gaze. "Your human physiology is unlike anything we've treated before. Conventional methods will not be sufficient. However, my species possesses unique healing capabilities. We can synthesize regenerative compounds within our bodies that accelerate cellular repair. But the treatment is intimate and requires complete trust." Raven managed to raise an eyebrow in question. "The compounds must be transferred directly," Nixis explained, a shimmer of what might have been embarrassment rippling through her bioluminescent patterns. "Through a process similar to what you would call nursing. Additionally, the recipient must maintain physical contact with the healer and enter a state of complete mental synchronization." If Raven could have laughed without feeling like her lungs were imploding, she would have. Here she was, a decorated Earth Alliance commander, being told she needed to essentially breastfeed from an alien to survive. But 20 years of military service had taught her that survival often meant abandoning pride. She managed a small nod of consent. "You understand this creates a temporary psychic bond?" Nixis asked. "I will experience your memories, and you will experience mine. Many find this unsettling." Raven tried to project confidence through her gaze. She'd rather share memories with this fascinating alien than die of radiation poisoning. "Very well." Nixis began adjusting the medical bed, her movements graceful and precise. "The first session will be the most intense as your body adapts to the healing compounds. Try to relax and let the memories flow naturally." As Nixis moved closer, her bioluminescence dimmed to a soft glow. She placed one hand on Raven's temple, the other supporting her head. "Close your eyes," she instructed softly. "Let go of physical sensation and follow my mental signature." Raven complied, and the world dissolved into a cascade of shared consciousness. She saw/felt/experienced Nixis's first day of healer training, the joy of successfully treating her first patient, the loneliness of being one of the few of her kind with the strongest healing abilities. In return, she knew Nixis was seeing her memories, academy graduation, her first space battle, the fierce pride of commanding her own squadron. The healing compound itself tasted like liquid starlight, if starlight had a flavor. Each swallow sent pulses of regenerative energy through her radiation-ravaged cells. Raven could actually feel her body repairing itself, guided by Nyxus's healing energy and the mysterious properties of the compound. But more than the physical healing, it was the mental connection that fascinated her. In Nyxus's memories, she saw a civilization built on principles of healing and harmony, so different from humanity's often violent history. She felt the healer's genuine desire to help, untainted by the political and military concerns that usually complicated human medical care. The session seemed to last both an eternity and mere moments. When Nyxus finally withdrew, Raven felt the loss of connection like a physical ache. She opened her eyes to find the pain had diminished significantly, though she still couldn't move much. "Your body accepts the treatment better than I expected," Nyxus said, her professional demeanor returning though her bioluminescence still pulsed with echoes of their shared experience. "But you will need several more sessions for complete healing." Raven managed to whisper a hoarse, "Thank you." "Rest now," Nyxus replied, adjusting the energy field around the bed. "We can discuss what you saw in my memories, and what I saw in yours, when you're stronger." As Raven drifted into healing sleep, she wondered what her superiors would make of this encounter. Earth Alliance had been searching for advanced alien civilizations to ally with against the Syndicate's expansion. They'd never imagined first contact would happen quite like this. Her last thought before sleep claimed her was that Nyxus's bioluminescent patterns looked like the most beautiful starfield she'd ever seen. Over the next few days, Raven's healing sessions with Nyxus fell into a rhythm that felt almost natural. Each time they connected, the boundary between their minds grew thinner, memories flowing more freely between them. But today, something was different. Nyxus's bioluminescent patterns showed subtle signs of distress that Raven had learned to recognize. "Something's troubling you," Raven said as Nyxus prepared for their morning session. Her voice was stronger now, though speaking still felt like gargling with stardust. Nyxus's tendrils rippled with what Raven had come to recognize as surprise. "You're becoming quite adept at reading my biochemical responses, Commander." "Raven," she corrected. "After sharing this many memories, I think we're past titles." A shimmer of amusement crossed Nyxus's features. "Very well, Raven. And you're right. There have been incidents. 3 of our healing compound samples have gone missing from the secure storage facilities. Initially, we assumed simple accounting errors, but now. You suspect theft," Raven finished, her military training kicking in. "Any leads?" "The Celestial Mercy is a sanctuary station. The concept of theft is..." Nyxus's form flickered slightly, a sign of emotional distress. "We're healers, not security experts." Raven tried to sit up, forgetting about the energy field still holding her in place. "I could help. Earth Alliance has extensive experience with..." She broke off in a fit of coughing. "You're not fully healed," Nyxus chided, moving closer to adjust the field's intensity. "Today's session is particularly important. I've modified the compound's composition to target your remaining radiation damage." Despite her concern about the theft, Raven couldn't help but feel a flutter of anticipation as Nyxus began the preparation ritual. Each healing session left her feeling more connected to the enigmatic alien healer, and more fascinated by her species' capabilities. "Close your eyes," Nyxus instructed, her voice taking on that melodious quality that seemed to resonate directly with Raven's consciousness. "Today we'll attempt a deeper synchronization." The moment their minds connected, Raven knew something was indeed different. The memories came faster, more intensely. She saw Nyxus as a young healer, discovering her unusually strong ability to synthesize healing compounds. She felt the weight of responsibility, the isolation of being different even among her own kind. In return, she knew Nyxus was experiencing her own memories of isolation, the loneliness of command, the burden of making decisions that affected countless lives. Their shared understanding deepened with each moment of connection. But suddenly, an alarm shattered their synchronization. Nixis broke away, her bioluminescence flaring with distress. Another breach in the secure storage, she said, her usually melodious voice tight with concern. More serious this time. Raven grabbed her wrist before she could move away. Let me help. I'm stronger now, thanks to you. And I know something about investigating suspicious activities. Nixis hesitated, her tendrils swirling with conflicting emotions. Your healing isn't complete. And involving you could complicate diplomatic relations. We don't even know if Earth Alliance officially recognizes. I'm already involved, Raven interrupted. Whatever I've learned about your healing compounds through our sessions, that knowledge is already in my head. If someone is trying to steal your secrets, I'm a potential target anyway. A ripple of acknowledgement passed through Nixis's bioluminescent patterns. Your military logic is sound. But you're still my patient, Raven. I won't risk your recovery. Then don't. Raven managed a smile. Consider my help part of my therapy. Physical activity promotes healing, right? Nixis's expression shifted to what Raven had learned was her species' equivalent of exasperated amusement. You're using my own healing principles against me. Is it working? Before Nixis could respond, another alarm blared, this one more urgent. The room's purple lighting shifted to a deep red, and Raven felt the energy field around her bed fluctuate. That's the quarantine alert, Nixis said, her professional calm cracking slightly. Someone's trying to breach the primary synthesis chamber. If they damage the environmental controls. Disable this field and help me up, Raven interrupted. Whatever's happening, you need backup. And I'm the only one here with combat training. For a moment, Nixis stood frozen, her bioluminescence pulsing rapidly as she weighed her options. Then, with a gesture, she dissolved the energy field. We do this carefully, she said, helping Raven sit up. At the first sign of physical distress, you return to bed. Healer's orders. Raven swung her legs over the side of the bed, fighting a wave of dizziness. Deal. Now, tell me everything you know about who might want to steal your healing compounds. And why they'd risk attacking a medical sanctuary to get them. As Nixis helped her stand, supporting her with surprising strength, Raven couldn't help but notice how their bodies seemed to naturally align, human and alien physiologies finding unexpected harmony. Just like their minds during the healing sessions. The compounds are unique to our species, Nixis explained as they moved toward the door. But theoretically, with the right genetic modifications, they could be synthesized artificially. Some believe such techniques could be weaponized. Raven felt a chill that had nothing to do with her ongoing recovery. She'd seen enough of war to imagine what military forces might do with the ability to instantly heal their soldiers, or to prevent their enemies from healing at all. Then we'd better make sure that doesn't happen, she said, drawing on her commander's authority despite her weakened state. Because I've seen enough of your memories to know your people's gifts were meant for healing, not harm. Nixis's response was cut off by another alarm, closer this time. As they moved through the corridors of the Celestial Mercy, Raven found herself caught between two instincts, the warrior's urge to confront the threat, and an unexpected fierce protectiveness toward Nixis and everything her healing powers represented. She just hoped she was strong enough to act on either feeling if it came down to it. The environmental alarms echoed through the Celestial Mercy's corridors as Raven and Nixis made their way toward the synthesis chamber. Raven's military training warred with her weakened body, each step was a negotiation between what she wanted to do and what she could actually manage. Your vital signs are fluctuating, Nixis said, her arm steady around Raven's waist. The healer's bioluminescence pulsed with concern, creating dancing patterns on the metallic walls. We should return to. Not happening, Raven interrupted, forcing herself to stand straighter. Besides, I'm not done with my treatment. You're stuck with me. The look Nixis gave her was complicated, concern mixed with something deeper had made her bioluminescent patterns shift to colors Raven hadn't seen before. "Your species' stubbornness is remarkable." "Part of our charm," Raven managed, then froze as voices echoed from around the corner. She pressed Nixus against the wall, ignoring the jolt of energy that passed between them at the close contact. The voices grew clearer, unfamiliar languages mixed with what sounded like trading pidgin. "Pirates," Raven whispered, recognizing the dialect patterns. "Syndicate, probably. The same ones that attacked my squadron." The revelation sent a surge of anger through her, stronger than her physical weakness. Nixus's tendrils coiled with distress. "Impossible. The Celestial Mercy's location is known only to registered medical vessels. Unless someone on the inside gave them the coordinates," Raven finished. The betrayal in Nixus's expression made her bioluminescence dim to nearly nothing. Raven found herself reaching out instinctively, her hand connecting with the shifting energy that comprised Nixus's form. The moment they touched, a flash of shared consciousness passed between them, stronger than ever despite not being in a formal healing session. Raven caught glimpses of recent memories, a new medical administrator asking too many questions about the synthesis process, missing inventory reports, encrypted communications that shouldn't exist on a medical station. "Administrator Voss," Nixus breathed, her voice carrying a harmonious note of pain. "He had access to everything. I trusted him with our most sacred knowledge." Later, Raven said firmly, though she maintained the physical contact, drawing strength from their connection. "Right now we need to stop them from reaching the synthesis chamber." "What kind of security measures do you have?" "We're healers," Nixus reminded her. "Our defenses are mainly focused on containing biological hazards, not repelling attackers." She paused, her tendrils suddenly writhing with an idea. "Although..." "What?" "The containment protocols. They're designed to isolate any area of the station in case of contamination. If we could trigger them manually." Raven caught on immediately. "We could trap the intruders between security barriers. But we'd need access to environmental controls." "There's an auxiliary control panel in the secondary medical bay," Nixus said. "This way." They moved as quickly as Raven's condition allowed, each step bringing more clarity to their shared purpose. Through their continued physical contact, Raven could sense Nixus's determination building alongside her own. The healer's natural pacifism was warring with the need to protect her people's gifts from misuse. The secondary medical bay was eerily quiet when they reached it, the usual soft hum of healing equipment replaced by the persistent wail of alarms. Nixus moved to the control panel, her fingers dancing over the bioorganic interface while Raven kept watch at the door. "The systems are already compromised," Nixus reported, frustration harmonizing in her voice. "Someone's introduced a foreign code sequence. I can't." She broke off as heavy footsteps approached. Raven pushed away from the wall, positioning herself between Nixus and the door despite her shaking muscles. "Keep working. I'll handle this." "You're barely standing," Nixus protested. "Then I'll fight sitting down." Raven managed a grim smile. "Just don't stop what you're doing. Whatever happens." The door slid open to reveal three figures, two clearly syndicate pirates by their patchwork combat gear, and one wearing the flowing robes of a station administrator. Administrator Voss's elegant features twisted with surprise at the sight of them. "Commander Sterling," he said smoothly. "You should be in bed." "And healer Nixus. I'm disappointed. Allowing a patient to endanger themselves like this?" "Save it," Raven snapped. "We know what you're trying to steal. The healing compounds aren't meant for weapons." "Everything can be a weapon in the right hands," Voss replied. "Your Earth Alliance understands this. Why do you think they sent you here? A decorated commander conveniently shot down near our station?" The accusation hit Raven like a physical blow. Behind her, she felt Nyxus's shock ripple through their connection. But before either of them could respond, one of the pirates raised a weapon. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. As the pirate fired, Nyxus moved with impossible speed, her form shifting to pure energy for a split second as she pushed Raven aside. The blast caught her in the shoulder, turning her bioluminescence a sickly gray. Raven's training took over. Despite her weakness, she launched herself at the nearest pirate, channeling every bit of combat experience she possessed. Her body screamed in protest, but the lingering effects of Nyxus's healing compounds gave her just enough strength. She managed to disarm one pirate and use his weapon against the other, but Voss was already running, heading toward the synthesis chamber. Raven started to pursue but stumbled, her borrowed strength fading. "Raven." Nyxus's voice was weak but determined. "Help me up. There's something I haven't told you about our healing capabilities." As Raven turned back to the injured healer, she saw Nyxus's bioluminescence beginning to pulse with a new pattern, one that spoke of both power and sacrifice. Whatever came next, Raven knew their relationship was about to change in ways neither of them could have anticipated. She just hoped they both survived to explore what that meant. "Our greatest power," Nyxus whispered as Raven helped her sit up, "isn't in healing others. It's in sharing our life force completely." Her bioluminescence flickered weakly, the wound in her shoulder seeping energy instead of blood. "With full synchronization, I can transfer enough power to restore your full strength. But the cost?" "No," Raven said firmly, understanding immediately. "You're already injured. A full transfer could kill you. Without it, we'll both die anyway." Nyxus's tendrils reached for Raven's face, their touch electric with urgency. "Voss doesn't just want our healing compounds. The synthesis chamber contains the genetic templates of our entire species. In the wrong hands." An explosion rocked the station, cutting off her words. Emergency lights flashed as the environmental systems began to fail. Through their contact, Raven felt Nyxus's pain and determination mingling with her own. "There has to be another way," Raven insisted, even as she felt her borrowed strength continuing to fade. The radiation damage in her cells was reasserting itself, making every breath a struggle. "You still don't trust that you were meant to find us," Nyxus said, her melodious voice carrying an undertone of certainty. "Your crash wasn't an accident, but not for the reasons Voss suggested. Our seers predicted your coming. A warrior who could bridge our worlds, who could understand both healing and fighting." Another explosion, closer this time. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated, making Raven's head spin. Through the haze of pain, she remembered all the shared memories during their healing sessions, the depth of connection that went far beyond patient and healer. The synchronization goes both ways, she realized. "You'll experience everything I do. The combat training, the tactical knowledge." "Yes." Nyxus's bioluminescence pulsed stronger for a moment. "Together, we might have enough strength to stop them. But you have to accept the connection completely. No barriers, no hesitation." Warning klaxons blared as the station's security systems registered multiple hull breaches. They were running out of time. Raven looked at Nyxus, this extraordinary being who had saved her life, who had shown her wonders beyond human imagination, who was now willing to risk everything to protect her people's legacy. "I accept," Raven said, the words feeling like more than just agreement to a tactical plan. "But you have to promise me something. Anything. Stay with me. Fight to survive this. Whatever happens, whatever we experience together, don't let go." Nyxus's response was to pull Raven closer, pressing their foreheads together. The moment their skin made contact, the world exploded into pure sensation. This wasn't like their previous healing sessions, this was total immersion in each other's being. Raven felt Nyxus's life force flowing into her, repairing not just the radiation damage but strengthening every cell in her body. With it came complete access to Nixus's memories, knowledge, and abilities. She understood instantly how the healing compounds worked, how to manipulate energy fields, how to tap into the station's bioorganic systems. In return, she knew Nixus was absorbing everything she was: combat training, tactical analysis, the instincts honed by years of military service. Their consciousness merged until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. When they opened their eyes, moving in perfect synchronization, their combined bioluminescence lit up the medical bay like a newborn star. Raven felt stronger than she ever had, while still aware of Nixus's presence sharing her mind and body. "Well," they said together, their voices harmonizing in a way that would have been impossible before, "that's certainly going to surprise Voss." They moved as one toward the door, their shared consciousness already formulating plans. Through their connection, they could sense the intruders' positions throughout the station, could feel the damage being done to the synthesis chamber's delicate equipment. But they could also sense something else, a familiar energy signature approaching the station at high speed. Through Raven's tactical knowledge, they recognized an Earth Alliance rescue fleet, responding to her emergency beacon. Through Nixus's heightened perception, they detected the unique biosignatures of more healers aboard those ships. Help was coming, but they had to act fast to prevent Voss from destroying everything before reinforcements arrived. Their combined abilities gave them advantages neither would have had alone: Raven's combat skills enhanced by Nixus's energy manipulation, Nixus's healing powers focused through Raven's strategic mind. As they ran through the corridors, moving with fluid grace despite the station's deteriorating artificial gravity, they shared a single thought: whatever happened next would change both their species forever. The bridge they were building between their peoples couldn't be undone. And neither of them wanted it to be. They reached the synthesis chamber's outer doors just as Voss finished overriding the security protocols. Through their shared senses, they could feel the administrator's desperation and greed like a toxic cloud. Behind him, more pirates were setting charges around the chamber's containment field generators. "Stop," they called out in their harmonized voice, the sound echoing with power that made the pirates stumble back. "This ends now." Voss turned, his elegant features twisting with shock at the sight of them. "What have you done?" he demanded. "This level of synchronization is forbidden." "We're beyond your rules now," they replied, raising their hands as one. Energy crackled between their fingers, Nixus's healing power transformed by Raven's combat experience into something entirely new. Last chance to surrender. Instead of responding, Voss slammed his hand down on the chamber's control panel. Alarms screamed as the containment fields began to collapse. In less than 5 minutes, the station's most precious resources would be destroyed. Unless they could find a way to save everything they both held dear, together. The synthesis chamber's containment fields flickered dangerously as alarms blared throughout the celestial mercy. Through their merged consciousness, Raven and Nixus could feel the station's systems approaching critical failure. But they could also sense something else: the unique resonance of the genetic templates stored within the chamber, singing to them like a chorus of possibilities. "You don't understand what you're destroying," they said to Voss, their harmonized voice carrying both Raven's authority and Nixus's healing resonance. "These aren't just medical supplies, they're the foundation of an entire civilization's future." "I understand perfectly," Voss snarled, backing toward the chamber's core. "Do you think Earth Alliance will remain dominant once other species have access to your healing powers? This technology could reshape the balance of power throughout known space." Through their shared memories, they saw the truth: Voss wasn't working for the Syndicate pirates. He was a deep-cover operative for a radical faction within Earth Alliance itself, one that saw alien advancement as a threat to human supremacy. That's what this was all about? Raven's anger colored their shared voice. "Starting a war between our peoples? Sometimes conflict is necessary for progress," Voss replied, pulling out a neural disruptor. "Your unprecedented synchronization proves my point. Look at what we could achieve by forcing evolution." The disruptor's energy beam lashed out, but their merged reflexes were faster than any single being's could be. They dodged with fluid grace, Nixus's energy manipulation abilities allowing them to redirect the harmful radiation into the station's disposal systems. But the movement cost them precious seconds. Voss's pirates had finished placing their charges around the chamber's stabilization cores. One detonation would destroy generations of healing knowledge. Through their connection, a plan formed, dangerous, unprecedented, but possible only because of their perfect synchronization. They reached out with their combined powers, Nixus's healing energy shaped by Raven's tactical precision. The templates, they whispered together. We can absorb them temporarily. Become a living repository. The strain was immediate and intense. Genetic information flooded their shared consciousness as they drew the templates into themselves. Each strand of data burned like fire through their merged nervous system. They could feel Nixus's life force wavering under the pressure. Stay with me, Raven's thoughts pulsed through their bond. Remember your promise. Nixus's determination flared in response, her healing powers working to stabilize their overloaded system. Around them, the pirates opened fire, but they were already moving. Their combined combat prowess made them nearly untouchable as they disabled one attacker after another. Voss, realizing his plan was failing, activated the charges anyway. The explosion rocked the chamber, but by then, they had already protected its most precious contents within themselves. The physical damage could be repaired. The knowledge would survive. Through the chaos, they sensed the Earth Alliance fleet engaging the pirate ships outside. Among them were vessels carrying more of Nixus's people, healers responding to the crisis. Help was moments away, but Voss still had one more card to play. If I can't have the templates, he growled, overloading his neural disruptor, no one will. The feedback pulse will tear apart any advanced nervous system within range. Including your precious synchronization. They felt the weapon's power building to catastrophic levels. In the split second they had to decide, their merged minds reached the same conclusion. They stepped forward, directly into the disruptor's field. But instead of trying to block its energy, they absorbed it, just as they had absorbed the templates. Nixus's healing abilities and Raven's trained resilience worked in perfect harmony, transforming destructive power into something new. The backlash sent them all sprawling. When emergency teams finally broke through the sealed doors, they found Voss and his pirates unconscious, the chamber damaged but salvageable, and Raven and Nixus still locked in their extraordinary connection. Hours later, after the templates had been safely transferred to new containment units and Voss was in custody, they finally allowed their synchronization to gently dissolve. The separation was like waking from the most vivid dream, each of them whole, yet forever changed by what they had shared. The genetic templates, Nixus said softly, her individual voice seeming almost quiet after their harmony. They've left traces in both of us. We're the first true bridge between our species. Raven nodded, still adjusting to experiencing the world through single consciousness again. Your people's healing gifts, merged with human adaptability. It's what Voss wanted to force, but it happened naturally because we chose to trust each other. The implications will be significant, Nixus's tendrils moved with concern. Both our peoples will have questions. Fears. Doubts. Let them, Raven said, reaching out to take Nixus's hand. Energy sparkled where their skin met, an echo of their deeper connection. We've proven what's possible when healing and strength work together. When trust overcomes fear. Through their touch, they could still feel echoes of each other's thoughts and emotions. The bond between them had fundamentally altered both their beings, creating something unprecedented in either of their species' history. I can still feel you, Nixus said wonderingly. Not like before, but a resonance. A bridge, Raven agreed. One that can never be closed. She smiled. I did make you promise to stay with me. Nixus's bioluminescence rippled with joy and affection. So you did. And now neither of us has to let go. Above them, through the station's viewing ports, they could see Earth Alliance ships moving into defensive positions around the Celestial Mercy while healing vessels began docking procedures. Two civilizations, coming together just as they had. Their story would become part of something larger, the first step toward a true alliance between their peoples. But in that moment, looking at each other with new understanding, they knew the most important change was the one they had forged between themselves. They were no longer simply commander and healer, human and alien. They were the beginning of a new chapter in both their species' stories. And whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had faced the crisis, together, their hearts beating in harmony across the stars.